What interested you in the session?
Actually, I've been to study in U.S. for over 20 years ago.
Oh.
So I wonder how it changed and how my impression myself can help my son. It might be different from
Yes.
Yeah.
President Obama, when he was first elected, the first 15 appointments that he made within his administration, they were all third culture kids, because he too is a third culture kid. So it just shows how much they are drawn to other people that have this global lifestyle. Every student at KIS is a cross-cultural kid. All these different things that are happening all at one time in their life. And so a cross-culture kid is, well, I'd say a third culture kid is really just a type of cross-culture kid. So if that makes sense. Because a cross-culture kid is a person who is living or has lived in or has patriot. So like you come expecting to go back. When we moved here almost 4 years ago now, I thought we were coming for 2 years and we were going home. And I lived my life like, oh, we're going home in 2 years. Didn't buy any furniture, you know, like big pieces of furniture or anything like that. Like, I lived like it was temporary.
Okay, so I picked the elephants because this is a huge benefit for me and my family. We got to see some amazing things. We lived in Africa, and I just feel like that was such a blessing for my family, such an amazing experience to give my girls, and they still think of it really fondly.
I hope my son can understand people more, because the relationship within people are very important, and then I hope he can put more attention on this. That's a good lesson for him for the whole life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Childhood, the things you think you should always have in childhood. Have a pet, you know, or the birthday parties that you plan and the friends that stay forever. And so there's always this little bit of, it's hard to maintain those relationships sometimes.
And I picked the puzzle pieces because I think it's a challenge. I think we'll always have different pieces of puzzles from where we're going and trying to make that one big picture. There'll always be some hole somewhere in that puzzle.
My daughter's is so lucky to have visited all these different countries at such a young age, and she has no idea. You know, like I didn't get to do that, so I think that's wonderful that she gets to do that. And I picked this one of a missing person because there's always somebody missing. You know, like if it's the grandparents or the family or a friend who just left, we're always missing a piece.
Before you move on, and I think those observational skills are key.
And picking up on the non-verbal skills, non-verbal cues as well.
Yeah,
is
that's
really
it.
good because they can't always rely on language. They become very perceptive and sensitive towards body language and this kind of thing.
The process is very real, whether it's a pet, whether it's a special place, whether it's grandparents, whether it's their home, what they perceive as their home here in Korea, but we have to help them address this unresolved grief.
I wish. That's the funniest joke I've heard all day.
I just wanted to spread some cheer, right? So, and a lot of times for our teachers, like we know in September or in October that we're moving, and we make that announcement. As soon as you announce that you are leaving, this transition process starts. They say goodbye, and they start thinking about those things, and they start detaching. So this is kind of characterized by withdrawal. Transition.
At what age do you think that starts? Because like my kid has no clue.
Yeah.
She's 2.5.
Yeah, because I think at this point, because your daughter is so young, you are still the center of her universe. I think this impacts a lot more for children who are older and who have established their friendships, and she has friends and she'll miss her friends, but because your family unit is going, like, you are just the center of her universe as her parents.
That's going to be her whole life.
So that would be nice. If you figure that out, let me know.
I'll market it.
And you see that kids move through these kind of phases of like, I'm upset, I'm happy, really, really quickly, like when they're saying goodbye to somebody or when they're about to lose something or when they have lost something. So you'll see like one day she'll be really sad and upset, the next second, sorry, not one day, 1 second, the next second she'll be fine, and you'll be kind of wondering what happened.
And this is the transition cycle. So in the transition cycle, you have this feeling of settled. So every time you make a move or every time you go through a life transition, this is what you can expect to go through. You have this feeling of being settled. This is kind of home. We're living our everyday life. We have places we're in, Girl Scouts, whatever it is, things in the community that we're involved in. And the whole side of transition, you can kind of see you have some significant ups and downs. And you know how I said that transition phase is chaotic and it's scary? These are those big dips. And after a move, you can probably expect to see, because at first at the transition, when you start unpacking those boxes and stuff, it's really exciting. And you're finding all the cool new snack foods in the local store, and and discovering all these beautiful places right there in your neighborhood, these fun parks, whatever it is, cool places for your kids to hang out. But then eventually the newness wears off and you hit this dip. So they used to this mobile lifestyle and moving, that sometimes it can really create in them a sense of restlessness. And if we can't help them figure those feelings out long term and deal with those, sometimes this rootlessness and restlessness shows up in adults.
How do we address this? Because I obviously teach 8th graders and they're hormonal to begin with. How do you address this with the beginning of the school year, with how much it's the moving and how much is just the normal teenage hormones?
I don't know I would say there is the normal teenage hormones, and all of this is normal. I think the main thing is just, as a teacher, making that the classroom a safe place for them to have different emotions, and like helping them build relationships with each other, because that's how they get engaged, is they connect. And so doing those small group table things and helping them build those relationships with each other, I think that's important. But I think you can see from the next slide, when they are completely disengaged with their schoolwork, when they have a failure to move forward, they're not thriving. At first they came in, they were doing really well, now they're not. They're always like, they're not talking to anybody in class, they're not talking to their peers and stuff like that. I think at that point, as a teacher, you raise the flag.
And that becomes terrifying, what is going on with my body, what is happening. But if you can help to label those emotions, like, oh, I see you're getting angry, or you look like you're feeling frustrated, or I notice that you're stomping a little bit, like I wonder if you're mad at this, that really helps to lower the anxiety, funnily enough. Okay. So
high school students will probably just withdraw, like go in their rooms, shut the doors, even though
more so for the older kids, like, why bother? It doesn't matter anymore. I'm just going to move again. And you might even see this with kids coming in, just this kind of lack of wanting to put effort in, because I know there will be an upcoming move. And maybe no teacher in my last school cared about me if I was there or if I wasn't. So what's the point? Is their work output getting smaller, or are they only doing work? Is their behavior abnormal from what they were previously exhibiting? So are they testing boundaries maybe, or are they disengaging from people? So that's really important, just monitoring like what their behavior, their emotions, and their work output is. And like I said, it's really important, especially in middle school, like if a child is absent, like they need to have one adult there at least that cares about them. Are you that adult that would know if they were missing? During that reconciliation, that affirmation, that farewells, start getting them excited about their future. Like, what are we going to be doing in the next place? Where will you be going to school? What kinds of languages will you be learning? What kinds of games will you be playing? As an example, I've pushed my daughter to start learning soccer right now because I know in Romania they're going to be playing soccer. So, you know, it's like, well, you can, you know, do this with your friends now, but if you can go to Romania and have a few soccer skills. So thinking about that has been really good for her. I'm going to stay in touch with these friends because this is my tribe, this is my group, and I really need to kind of honor those connections because it will teach them what a good friendship is, and it will teach them not to just disengage when they go to a different place, or that feeling of restlessness will kind of